Adam, welcome to Swansea.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Now, you notice I just said Adam, because I'm not quite sure where I go with Gyorgy. How do I pronounce it properly?
It goes from Gyorgy to Gyorgy to Gyorgy to Gyorgy.
You don't mind?
Yes, I don't mind. Yeah.
Where does the name come from?
It's a Hungarian name. It's György. We pronounce it György. It's actually George.
George, okay.
Hungarian,
Yeah. And that's originally home, although New York seems to be your base these days. Let's go back, if you don't mind, to your family. What sort of family was it?
I'm a very lucky person. I have an incredible family. My dad was an engineer. My mom was a university teacher. My brother was an economist. So four of us, we loved, my childhood was exciting. My dad played the piano back at home. So he played the Bills, vinyls and played the songs by ears. And he was inspiring me to play the piano. He inspired me to play the piano. But
was he any good?
He's incredible because he comes in from the audience's point of view and the audience's ears. He's not a professional. So still today, when I play in Carnegie Hall and I played a program to him, he's like, Adam, there, you should do a little differently. Stuff.
Really?
And two particular stories from my childhood. He comes in when I was practicing and he was like, my son, why do you play so fast? When we're teenagers, 12, 13-year-old, we always want to play faster and faster. Artistry comes later. But then I just told, Dad, go out. I don't want to hear you. We don't listen to our parents. So get out of here. When he closed the door, I started to think really, why do I play so fast? So he helped me a lot to develop my own style and my own colors and taste on the piano. Yes. I'm really grateful to him for that.
So in that case, if you were playing at 12, you must have been playing before you were 12. How old were you when you started to find the piano and think that this is something I like?
I was 4 when I started,
okay.
and I was listening to him, and I barely reached the keys, and played after ears, and I was improvising mostly.
Carry on that route. They improvise and they play with their ears. Some people go to school and they learn to play with their eyes, but you seem to have managed to find a combination where you play with both. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people can only play just like that. But watching you play, in Grand Central, you play from the heart rather than from eyes or ears. Were your parents sending you to a school? Did that happen straight away, or did you play for a while on your own?
Yeah, so I'm a classically trained pianist, and I was taking lessons since, the age of 4, 5, 6, and I'm a classically trained pianist, but improvisations were a part of my life from the very beginning. So, and even today when I play in Carnegie Hall, first half of the concert is my own compositions, my own improvisations, and melodies from my childhood, the folk tunes from Hungary, or pick up a song just on the street, somebody whistling, or I usually like to improvise on a theme where I go. For example, if I play in Thailand, I played on the Thai King's song, or go to Indonesia to play Indonesia Pusaka, that's their national melody. So I always pick something local and incorporate it to my first half of the concert. In America, I play some American tunes, and the second half is classical music. So that's how I lead the audience into the aura of the concert.
That's really interesting because, for a lot of people, classical music can feel stuffy and aloof. And the pianist comes in, he has his tails, he sits at the chair, and he plays, and he doesn't connect. So you're deliberately making sure you connect with whatever the local audience is. Why?
I think that connection is the single most important thing on a concert, because why do we go and play it? Why do we play music? Why do we? What's the purpose? What's the reason? So I believe that a concert has to be a journey. We start together with the audience from a place, and we go to another place, and during that journey we learn something about ourselves. We learn something about our childhood. We reconnect to ourselves. We solve some of our problems back then. 10 years ago we could manage that time, but music helps us to get back to ourselves, and I think that's the main mission. And you were asking about connection, and it only can happen if I connect with the audience, and that's the single priority on the concert. If I'm just there playing to myself, it's equal to not even going on stage.
How did you get to Carnegie Hall?
I was touring in Europe already. I played in Southeast Asia a few times, and different parts of Asia, and I got invitations to other states in America, Georgia, Idaho, beautiful, beautiful places, maybe not the center of the artistic world in America. Took a bus from Chinatown to Chinatown, New York. It was for the cheapest way to get up from Philly to New York, and that was about the money I had that time. And going up to New York and just looking around it's just intimidating to have all those beautiful big buildings and the rhythm, the pace of the city. And I met a manager, and he was like, threw a CD on him, literally, you know, with my confidence. I tried to overdo it a little bit. And I said, listen, I would like to play in Carnegie Hall. And he said, next year I'm doing a program there. I do an annual program there. I would like to invite you there. And that particular invitation fall apart because he was not working with the agency at the same time next year. But my CD was in the circus already. You know, that was a good introduction, just to be there, just to meet someone, just to talk about my art, just to see who I am, who he was, and to get in touch. And then my CD was going around already. And the opportunity presented itself a year later when we celebrated the Hungary's 50th anniversary of the 1956 revolution in 2006. Played in a Weil Hall. It went very well. So then Weil Hall is the smallest hall in Carnegie Hall, 200-seater. And Zanko Hall is 1,000-seater. So next year I went to Zanko Hall. And the third year I went to Stern Hall, which is 3,000-seater. That's the big hall in Carnegie Hall. So that was step by step pretty much.
You see, the thing is, people will see your page on Facebook, they'll see 1 million people following you, they'll see you're a young man, and they'll think, oh, it must have been easy for him. But what they don't see is you going around with 2 suitcases, traveling around, trying to find a piano to rehearse. You really have paid your dues, haven't you?
You know, as I said before, you have to love what you're doing. And that's the only way to do this, because you have to embrace all the aspects and all the elements of touring. And that's the only way to do this. I like being on the road, for sure. And that means I meet a lot of people. I play a lot of venues. I enjoy performing in small, intimate venues. I like to play in big concert halls. I like to, wherever I can bring my music, I feel particularly happy, you know, to bring my music. So I've been on the road for 15 years. And that probably gives me a good experience in different cultures. You know, I go to Southeast Asia, China, Japan as well. Vietnam is an exciting place to play now. Jakarta and Singapore is coming up so quickly in the past 10 years. Going to America is always exciting, and this is my second tour in the UK, so.
Great. At some of the big gigs then, Carnegie Hall must be right up there, but you love football and playing. You played at the opening ceremony, you know, in front of how many people?
I think it was a global broadcast for maybe 300 million people. Sure, yes. What I see, and I look back, I look at the recording and I look back and I see, you know, it was a half soccer ball, football. The piano was under a half ball. It was coming to 2 parts, so quarter, and then I was standing there. I stood there, and when I look at the recording now, I see the fire in my eyes. And I see that was excitement from inside, but from outside it looks like I'm fire. I could just eat up the whole piano and the crowd, everything. I was probably a little nervous, but I call it excitement.
You're coming to Swansea to do 2 gigs I call them gigs. Do we call them gigs?
We call them however way we want to call them.
Two gigs at the Brangwyn Hall. What can people expect from your performance here in Swansea?
I think the very important thing is that I take a look at a concert as a very different. I'm a classical pianist, but I take a look at a concert as a journey. I would like to take them on a travel, talk about myself, about my experiences, my childhood. I bring some melodies from my childhood, and I bring my favorite repertoire from the classical repertoire. It will start with improvisations, both concerts. One of the concerts starts with a piece called A Day in New York, which talks about my day in New York. When I walk through Central Park, Times Square, the East River, the Upper East Side. It's a 20-25 minute long piece, very melodic, very easy listening, but very deep to me. You know, it talks about a very genuine experience in New York. Then I played the Liszt Sonata in B minor, which is the crown of the piano literature. And the second night is a combination of virtuosic classical pieces and also some of my own improvisations at the beginning. So both nights at the beginning will always have a very genuine 20-25 minute of improvisation and music to get to know each other with the crowd. Yeah. And then we blend into the classical repertoire, which is going to be enjoyable.
You're a good-looking lad. You know, you have this aura about you. For kids watching you, they're going to get excited about seeing you playing the piano. What advice would you give to a young piano player starting out, or someone who's along the journey? What advice would you say? Love the work?
Love what you, if you love what you do, keep doing it. And Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you have dreams, work for those dreams, and consistency is one of the biggest power in the world, you know. So if you fail in something, that's a part of the journey. And I've done so many mistakes, and I came off recitals and concerts where I think I played good, sometimes better, you know. It's a journey, and embrace the journey and be in harmony with yourself and keep working hard, because that's pays off at the end.
One last thing, you've achieved so much in a young life. What dreams do you still have? What's your pinnacle? What do you want to do?
You know, we spoke about the journey, and I think balance is very, very important, because how can I go for so long? You know, what's how do I keep I run every morning, mostly, 5, 6, 10K, whatever comes out. I'm a cyclist. I do sometimes 160 kilometer, like 100 miles of cycling just in one take, 8 hours, So I take things seriously, but this keeps me in a balance, which is very, very important, because if you have to balance in yourself, then you can set yourself for a long journey. And I think if you ask me what I want to do in 10 years, 20 years, I'll do the same things, just in this pace, going forward, and keep it exciting.
Adam, it's wonderful having you here in
Great to
Swansea.
meet you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Enjoy Swansea.
I love it. Thank you.